Now, you've had some jobs in politics, right? You worked for Tom Harkin for a while?
Yes, I did work for Tom for 2 years, and I think that just escalated my desire to become politically involved. And I learned how things work and how you do campaigns. And see, some of the Latinos have not had that learning. They've not had that exposure.
Right.
They've not been invited to the table, or they've been invited to the table, but they're reluctant. They're reluctant, just as we have found in other minorities, that people are reluctant. They think they're going to be taken, or, you know, they don't understand. So I think it's very important, and especially if you're a bilingual person, you can do those kind of things. And I think that everyone should prize their culture and their language. I don't think because I become a citizen I have to give up my language.
Oh.
You know, I think that's an ignorance, and I believe that the school has not done a very good job, because when we were in school, we were able to take French, Italian, German, Spanish, anything that we wanted to. Now kids go to school and there's not that program offered anymore. Just like vocations and workers, you know, to teach. Not everybody's going to go to college. So we need vocational programs for that. We can produce. What are we crying about right now, Tom? We don't have carpenters. We don't have engineers. We don't have plumbers. We don't have people that are skilled to do those jobs, and those are the jobs that maintain this country.
Right.
You know, you just can't push a button and put a house up. You got to dig the earth. You got to build the foundation. You got to put the structure. I mean, a lot of work, but there are not qualified people to do it. They're not qualified. These kids are going computer knowledge, and everything's out on the laser and whatever else. But what happened to the sweat that came with building the country? I'm concerned about that. Clifford Kessler, right now at the Evelyn Davis Workforce Center, he's in charge of that program. As a matter of fact, that program started out, and Representative Wayne Ford and them were participating in that program to try and get young men and women. And there's the other thing: when the schools are failed, they do not have the mathematics. A lot of Latinos don't have the mathematics skills that they need, because you need to be able to have that mathematics skill there. I wasn't too cool in mathematics myself, and when they went to the new system of teaching arithmetic, I couldn't help my grandkids. It was like Chinese to me. I mean, you know, I didn't understand it. And then the kids are learning it. Now I see that some of our young men and women are advancing in mathematics. You can teach it in a different way, and the kids can learn it, you know. But there was a group of parents that couldn't help their kids with homework. And you can't help your kids with homework if you don't speak English.
Yes.
See, the concept can be there in Spanish, but the kids are learning it in English. So give me a break. How are you going to help me? So, yo no entiendo nada. I don't understand anything, you know? So we have to work with that problem. But as far as schooling, I think the school system really needs a lot of help. And you know that the state of Iowa always had a plus mark for education.
Yes.
All of a sudden, we're downhill. Why?
Well, it's something to look at.
Yeah. Those are concerns that I have, and the community has, and the Latinos have, because they want their kids to have a good education. As a matter of fact, Sunday, I was coming back from the wake for Sandy Rorick, you know, John's wife that passed away. And I stopped there at that renowned ice cream shop there in Beaverdale. I walked in there to the table to get waited on. Of course, there were some people there that I knew from the political party. But the young girl that waited on me, she said, "I know you. You were a tutor at Hubble School." She says, "I'm a junior now." I don't know whether she said North or Rosa Parks or what. And I said, she says, "I remember you because you used to work with all those kids." I said, "Yeah, I was a tutor after I retired in Left Town, and then, you know, I took that on as a job to be a tutor." So, and I thought, well, that's pretty interesting that she could remember that I was a tutor for those children. I had Chinese, I had Bosnians, I had the Latinos, and I was a tutor teaching them to read and write so that they could catch up, you know. And they learn fast. Everybody learns fast. Children are they're good learners. They just have to have it presented to them in a certain way so they can grab it, you know.
Right, you don't want to leave them behind.
Yeah. And when leave no child behind, that was a big mess to begin with.
It was a mess.
I think that was not properly placed. It was put to fail. That's another one that we spent lots of money on. And
Yes, not a good program.
not a good program.
But if you don't capture a child by the time they're third or fourth grade in school, then you're probably going to lose them. So
Well, Tom, I was surprised when I was helping with the kindergarten. Little people would come in, they had one shoe on the wrong foot and the other one, they didn't know how to tie them. They didn't know how to say please and thank you.
Yes.
I said to myself, what is happening here?
no teaching going on.
No.
Yeah.
But parenting also, because when we went to school, my mother said, I don't want to hear from any teachers from any school.
Right.
That's your problem, not mine, she said, but don't ever have a teacher call me up or come to my house. So me and my sisters, we never have anybody come to the house.
Let's talk about Black-Brown for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard ticket to get to whenever we have a caucus.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that sticks out in your mind about that particular gathering, either a presidential candidate or something that really you thought had kind of an interesting story that you want to share about that process?
I think the fact that all the country had their eyes on the states, and we had visitors from all over, which we do during caucus time and things like that. I think the fact that they couldn't believe that this was really happening, that we would open the doors and anybody come in, no matter who they were or what they were welcome to come and get educated. In my eyes, I felt it was a way to get people interested and motivated to know that yes, they could go and vote for someone, and yes, they could make a change. I think that was the educational part, and I think there was a lot of people that were afforded the opportunity to participate. We had a lot of people that really, really appreciated that, you know. So I think that a lot of our candidates, I can remember when Al Gore came and when Jesse Jackson was running and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, in Greenfield, just imagine in Greenfield out with the Rainbow, Coalition and all those that we had. Those were interesting, promising things that was leading up to the big day.
Do you invite Republican candidates to come too, or not?
Oh, yes, we always did.
Separate night or
No,
same night?
No, same night. I mean, they could come and all the years that we've done it, we've never had a Republican take the invitation.
Interesting.
It
Did
is,
you, not even one, huh?
No.
That's come to the, huh?
No.
And what's your percentage of Democratic candidates that show up? Do you usually get about half of them, or two-thirds?
Yeah, we
About
get
half?
more than half, yeah. We get more than half, really. Yeah.
But again, no famous quotes stick out, something special that happened up on stage that you remember that kind of was of an interesting part of the process?
I think probably Jesse Jackson. Oh, and what's his name? Al Sharpton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was an interesting character.
Yes.
And he would put out some things that, people were kind of like, saying, did he say that? But you don't control them.
Nope.
They are selling themselves. They're selling their plan. They're aspiring to be a president, man or woman, and so you don't censor whatever they're going to say. You're not responsible.
No. How long have you been televised?
Oh, gee.
Every year, or did it start?
I think from the very beginning that we did have some television.
Okay.
CNN was very good to us. I remember especially at the County Convention Center on 5th and Grand when we had it there. That's when we decided it was just too small. You couldn't do it there. You couldn't do it there to host the people that you wanted to host, And I was kind of upset about that. I think Dick Gephardt was running at that time too when we had it there. Yeah.
But then you eventually went to North High School, right?
Yes.
The auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had a non-sellout, or are they always sold out?
Oh, it's always sold out.
Yeah.
It's always sold out. Room for one more.
Have you been to national conventions?
Oh yeah, I've been in California, and in Boston, and in Denver. So yeah, I've done that. And it's been an exciting experience for you to be part of that conglomeration of people and parties,
Who did you go for in those conventions? California would have been, was that back in 2000 with Al Gore?
Yeah.
Were you Al Gore or Bradley delegate, or?
No, I was an Al Gore delegate.
Uh-huh. You said you went to Denver. That would have been 2008, right?
Yeah.
Who were you for then?
Obama,
Obama,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one you went to?
In Maryland, Boston.
Boston. That was
Yeah.
2004.
Yeah, that was 2004.
Who were you for in that one?
I can't remember.
John Kerry was our nominee.
No. I guess that's who we were supposed to, the Democratic Party, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't remember who you were for?
I do remember that when the Caucus and Gore and all of them came to Des Moines for the first time, and Joe Biden was running. He was running also.
1988,
yeah,
was it?
Yeah, in '88. The Caucus said to me, "Why can't you vote for me?" And I said, "I don't think I can vote for you. I think that I'm looking for something else."
Yeah.
Yeah. And Clinton, Bill Clinton, we had to support Bill Clinton in '88, wasn't it? Yeah.
92.
92?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I attended an event back in, I think, 2003 when you hosted it for Gephardt.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know that you're a supporter of his, but it was
Yes.
down the south side of Des Moines.
It's a church
Yes.
at the Clifton Presbyterian or Methodist Church, right across from St. Anthony's.
Yes.
And we had Dick Gephardt. Well, you know, Paula worked on the Dick Gephardt campaign.
Oh.
So, yeah. So we were supporting Dick Gephardt. Yeah. And then somebody went to my mother and said to her, well, and when we had Bill Richardson running, somebody went to my mother and said to her, well, why isn't Mary supporting so-and-so? And my mother said to them, you have to go ask Mary. I'll never forget my mother told me that night. They came to meet Anthony. I told them I had to go and talk to you. So my mother was quite political with me, you know. And I took my mom, everybody knew my mom. Finally, when she hit 9, she says, you're going to go by yourself. I'm not going with you anymore.
Yeah, because Richardson would have been an interesting candidate for you to support.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good man.
Yes, he was.
He was running against Obama, and you thought Obama was a better candidate, huh?
Yeah.
When you look back on your time in politics, is there a political hero you've had over your lifetime, somebody that you really held up in high esteem? You mentioned Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
Was definitely someone who, when you read about that in the paper,
Yes.
you understood exactly
Yes,
what she was going
yes.
through, right?
And not only that, because getting back to Rosa Parks, you know, when I took the job with Dr. Stanley Griffin, he was the first black osteopathic physician here. He had come from the south to the north to be able to practice because he was an African American. They wouldn't let him deliver babies in Elizabeth City, you know, North Carolina. So when I took that job, there was a lot of comments from the Hispanic community as well as the African American community. And he and I were going to be working together. So people that don't believe there's bias and racism, it's alive and well. It's alive and well, even today.
Yes.
And so we need to do those things to put them in their perspective. And that's why I say that it can't happen. It can't continue. It can't continue.
Right. Just like you mentioned with Rosa Parks making a stand about where she was sitting, so to speak.
On the bus,
Everything that we do should be a stand. And in your situation, you were taking a stand, saying, I can work with somebody from the African American community.
Yes, because I had been with Senator Harkin, and you know, then I worked with Jim Smith. Well, then Dr. Griffin was going to be opening up, and I happened to meet him when I was 17 years old. And he was, in turn, he says, and I'll always remember this conversation. He said, Girlie, would you like to work for me? Of course, I was just a young kid, and I said, well, if I'm not married, I don't have a house full of kids. And then he ends up delivering my twins. The first twins he ever delivered, he delivered my twins, you know. And the twins are 59 years old now. But, you know, we had a wonderful relationship with him, and we had all kinds of people from every walk of life, diverse cultures, and they all came to the doctor. It didn't make any difference that he was an African American and I was a Hispanic, serving him as a receptionist and whatever we had to do, you know. But people walked in, and my dear friend Russ Hamler put out a book that maybe you should take a look at. He put out a little book, Russ Hamler, on East 6th and Grand. We had an office there, and the East Side Fish Market was there also. I don't know whether you remember that or not.
Yes, I do.
Remember that?
Yep.
Well, we had an office right in between the fish market and the drugstore. Dr. Griffin had his office there. So, and Russ put out had a book published, and he brought me a copy, sent me a copy the other day, and he called me up to see what I thought about it. And I said, that was cool, because he talked about all the history that took place on the east side, because we had a Gamble store, we had a Western Auto store, we had a dime store, we had movie theaters, we had everything over there. So it's interesting to see the east side come to life again.
Yes.
You know?
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And then a lot of our East Siders are strong people that believe in voting. You know that. They have voting blocks, you know. They'll work for their party. They'll work for the candidate. And that's what we want to instill in people. Because I think a lot of people have lost faith. And they are slowly going to say, I don't want to vote anymore. Especially now, today they had the hearing on the voting issue with the Civil Liberties Union and LULAC. That's another reason we got into LULAC again, because we need that. The League of United Latin American Citizens, they need to have a strong body so that they can have their hopes and dreams and, you know, and ensure education, because they're great on education. for our children, and we need to do that. So that's another thing that I really believe in is education and voting. And I think that we're all owners of our own destiny, but we have to use those tools to ensure our destiny. So, yeah.
What do you say about candidates on the Republican side like Marco Rubio?
I think he's an aspiring young politician. I think that, it's just like, sure, I know that you had parents that had to come over here, but they weren't so poor that they couldn't help themselves. And there's a lot of people that have come to this country and haven't had that privilege of being of that class. So I think that, I don't know whether he's going to stay Republican or not. I really don't. I think he might get lost in the shuffle here someplace. I'm not sure. But, I appreciate the fact that he has been kind enough to work with the other people on the immigration bill. I'll allow him that, and the people that are working on it. I hope that it's for the right reason. I hope it's for the right reason, not a politically diverted goal,